Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarvavedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om, Namastê. Bem-vindo a todos. Okay. Ish. I move the page. Can you tell me the page, Mark, please?
2230.
Okay, thank you. So, we have seen in the previous classes now the Bhakti Yoga is presented as the the ultimate yoga, meaning to say you have to have such a desire for understanding the true nature of reality. And that is equal to devotion. You have to be totally devoted to this goal, which is the ultimate goal of life. So no matter what stage in our personal development, this strong desire must be there. And this strong desire is synonymous of love for understanding, the true nature of reality. And that there is only one way to go about understanding the nature of reality, and that is not by scientific means, but by religious, spiritual means, trying to understand the concept of God and then the nature of Saguna God, so that we prepare our minds to get into the teachings in respect to the nature of Nirguna God as our own intrinsic nature. So we have gone through all these different 5 levels of Bhakti Yoga. And coming to Yana Yoga, we know that it's the process by which we most need to rely on a good intellect. We need to have a good intellect to develop a good vairagya, because only profound understanding of the falsity of this duality, and the fact that this duality uh, seems to serve the purpose to understand that nothing within this duality experiencer and the experience will ever satisfy the Jivatma, the experiencing entity. So scriptures go to the extent to suggest that the projection of this universe is for the Jivatma to understand the true nature of reality. Is a very, how you say, it's a strange kind of game, but it seems to be, as in some instance is present, Brahman being one without a second wants to become the Jivatma. And this is stated here in our scriptures as well. Wants to become an experienced entity, therefore projects this universe through the power of Maya, in which Ishvara Jiva appears in this apparent projection. And then and only then Brahman or consciousness can have an experience of duality, of plurality, of diversity. But it does not feel good to experience duality, because the objects available are infinite in numbers, and we get confused. So what am I gonna go for? There are so many innumerous possibilities, and we begin failing find satisfaction and peace and love in spite of some of our accomplishments. And then we always blame to the fact that no, that was not it. It must be another accomplishment, another object of desire that I need to realize. So we go from one thing to another, and that is said to be Brahman, falling for the veil of Maya, so to speak, becoming this reflected consciousness, the Jiva-Atma, forgetting its true limitless infinite nature, and then falling for the attraction and repulsion of the objects, and then trying to reestablish its fullness, its punatvan, by the means of acquisition of objects of desire. So we have seen that it requires tremendous maturity so that one may really develop a value for the Jnana Yoga, Vedantic Jnana Yoga, these teachings that states very, very sharply that only by means of understanding your Purnatva nature, you're gonna be free from this nagging feeling of a Purnatva, of incomplete nature. So therefore, we have seen also the qualifications. Briefly, Swamiji presented the 4 qualifications. One of them is a sharp intellect with an ability to listen, to stay focused, and so on. So it requires integration. We saw it in the last class, what Swamiji means by integration. Integration of the mind, of the subtle body as an overall instrument, our mind or subtle body, with its functions. Only then we can go through Shravan and Manan, and then finish the job with our own Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana only the student can do. Nobody can help the student with doing that. So in that way, Swami present the 4 Ds very briefly. Discrimination, dispassion, discipline, which is absolutely necessary for the integration or purification or refinement, harmonization of the body-mind sense complex, without which self-knowledge, the final, the full or complete assimilation and internalization of self-knowledge becomes very difficult. Okay. So if an individual has dispassion, discrimination, dispassion, and discipline, and then the individual is prepared for Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, which Swami says that 2 processes, Manana, Shravana, and Manana. Basically, there are 2 processes in which the guru is still involved. One is presenting the teachings, and the student must have a strong desire by then, and then he's consistently, systematically studying the scriptures with the help of the guru, and then he's invited to look for doubts present its doubts to the guru or wait until doubts do fade by themselves. So if you are not assimilate the teachings, the suggestion is you need to listen more. You should never forget about Karma Yoga, because there is no tangible line between Karma Yoga and Yan Yoga. So you do your Karma Yoga knowing that is the smartest way to further develop purification and refinement by relating with Saguna Ishvara as the Dharma field and its laws, its principles, and with a certain positive attitude in respect to the creator. And we know the entire mechanism. So we should never forget about Karma Yoga. But when we enter Yan Yoga, we should do that. And if we are not really assimilating this well accomplished, well integrated, transforming self-knowledge, we are invited to keep doing Shravan and Manana, and as well as with Karma Yoga. We have to fight this battle with every tool at our disposal. Disposal. Disposal? Dispose. Okay. So doubts are going to go. Once you have complete the comprehensive listening, most doubts will go. Doubts are due to intellectual, somehow, unrefinement. We have an intellect, and our intellect is the only means by which we're going to be fully convinced of this teaching methodology, of these declarations, Upanishad declarations. And the function of the intellect is to raise questions. We should not be shy about that, Oh, no, I have Shraddha. No, I don't raise any question. No, the intellect will never be fully convinced unless it, has its doubts cleared. And suppressed doubts is not an expression of Shraddha, but it's just a suppression of doubts and questions. We want to develop a hard and fast, fully doubtless, full conviction, doubtless of knowledge. That is the ultimate bhakti or bhakta. Krishna says, without Vedantic knowledge, you will be a bhakta, but there will always be a distance or separation between the devotee and the Lord. Therefore, this bhakti can reach its culmination only when this distance is somehow cancelled. So once we get a hard and fast self-knowledge, and are we going to abandon completely our reverence and love to the Saguna Creator? No, not at all. You are still living within God's creation. You are integral part of God's creation. You remain a bhakta on all levels. Okay, if you're in the culture of deities, Vedic, Hindu deities, so you keep your deity, you keep a deeper level of Svarupa Ishvara, you relate to nature, to the full manifestation of this physical universe, knowing that is the very body of the Creator. So you keep all of that with a certain reverential spirit towards the Lord, knowing perfectly well that the true Lord is there, sitting in the heart, to use a language of Ramana Maharaj, sitting in the heart of all beings. So you keep all the channels available to you. You are a devotee of the Lord. You are an effect or byproduct of the Creator. You are made of the same nature, of the true nature of this Creator, but yet, you respect your Creator. You respect the same way you respect your how you say uh, your high school teacher, or before high school, elementary school teacher. So you are not going to be disrespect to your elementary school teacher when you once you graduate or postgraduate, or have a master degree in whatsoever field of knowledge. uh, so you respect your deities, knowing perfectly well that it has served its purpose. So you have everything available, and Swami brings the psychological element in relation to that, which is human beings are emotional beings. We have moments that we need to lean on someone, and we tend to establish relationship with other jiva atmas, and try to lean on someone you can really rely upon. So scripture's suggestion is never lean really totally on anyone, although you may lean on someone because sometimes due to human limitations or weaknesses, we need to comfort our heart with people that we can trust, cry, something like that. I like to tell my problems to someone who is not going to judge me, someone who is going to embrace me and say some sweet words. In the past, there were joint family in which there were so many people living in the same house, so there were a lot of shoulders uh, for family members to lean and cry and talk about their problems. There were many laps on which we could empty our tears. Many family members, there is always a lap which is free. That's nice to find a empty lap. Uh, so how many laps are there? Oh, there are 8 laps, there is someone there with one person in the right lap or on the left lap. Human nature. So grandmother and so on. Nowadays the family is disappearing. Uh, the nuclear family of the past, uh, before, how he used to call the family before is joint family. Joint family now has become a nuclear family, very, very comprising husband, wife, and one at the most 2 children. It becomes atomic, it becomes explosive. Nobody has time, everybody is irritable and angry, and they may explode at any time. Everybody busy, mother is busy, everybody is working. Totally different society, designed purposely to remove family. Without family, the values cannot go from one generation to another, and the purpose is to erase the concept of God, real God. Full materialism. Okay. personal relationships, we want to have support, the best support above all the family and friends you can trust mostly is your Ishta Devata. And then even more refined would be Ishwara, the creator. You lean on Ishwara by understanding the Ishwara system and living in accordance with this system. We are going to lean on Ishwara to the extent that we develop strengths, balance to take whatsoever adversity with a deep understanding and fortitude, and trust. That is leaning into the Lord, the Creator, understanding the Lord system, understanding that everything is designed for a certain purpose, custom designed to each one of us. Therefore, we have the strengths we need without having to look for shoulders and laps all around. So you without having to look for a bottle of wine, because nowadays in the book, in the movies, in the past was whisk. They would show bottles of whisk in every movie. In the old days it was a cigarette, it was something to lean upon. And then whisk nowadays is fashionable for the past several uh, decades. The movies you see everybody, oh, I have a problem, wine. Why? No, you just lean on the scriptures until you understand the nature of Saguna God, and then you are going to have all the support. The support is within your knowledge, within your understanding of God's system, Ishvara's system. Shankaracharya does that in Shivananda, says that in Shivananda, he's pouring out as does no, Shankaracharya does that. He's going to highlight the value of this relationship with Saguna Ishwara, represented by deities and so on. He's pouring out at the individual person, and he's calling for the surrender of the mind at the feet of the Lord. He's talking about Ishta Devata Bhakti, Shankaracharya. But there are times when our emotional personality lies low. We are weak. We want to cry. We want to pray. Yesterday, I was seeing a video talking about the passion of Christ. Have you seen this film 20 years ago? So it's very beautiful, but I forgot. I'm gonna watch again. But there was some passage in this interview in which the director was explaining how he has uh, filmed Christ someone playing to be Christ, and being crucified and dying, and the moments in which even Jesus was emotionally weak, so much suffering. He was emotionally needing the support of the Lord. Therefore, he prays. Therefore, he says, "So have you uh, forgotten me?" So at the same time, he would get immediately poised, no? Poised and say, never mind, forget it. I know these people, they are ignorant, and there are no problems here. This is my paravada. I'm doing that for a certain purpose. And no hard feelings between me and you, Father. So personal God often does not satisfy, or we have questioned why God created the world. So when you are done with that level of bhakti yoga, you start bring some questions. Your intellect is no longer satisfied with the logic behind of all these deities and what the deities can do for you. you want to know on a deeper level the nature of God, you know? And then you go you go through the other stages, you know, as a Istadevata and then Ishvara as the knowledge, the supreme knowledge, intelligence holding all the Istadevats in place, you know? And then you see the true nature of God as the entire cosmos, the manifestation, from the standpoint of knowledge is as the cause of the universe, intelligent cause, and the physical material universe, because God is also the material cause. So you grow in your understanding of God until you get to understand God as Nirguna Atma, free from any uh, attributes, qualities, and properties, forms, names, you know, and anything as the substratum. So when your intellect is refined and dominant, we are ready to go to Nirguna Brahman. And when the mind, emotional mind, is dominant, we can shift back to Saguna Ishvara. This is so beautiful, you know, in connection with what we were talking. We three of us, but mostly Lynn brought up this question. There are moments that the intellect is not as sharp and the emotional mind is more predominant. We are more emotional in that moment, you know. You have lost a child or you have lost something very valuable to you, or there is a huge threat and so on. No? And then if your knowledge in respect to Brahman as the substratum of everything, God as the light of consciousness illumine this tragedy in my life, if I have trouble to hold on to that perspective of wisdom because of emotional disturbance, you know, and then I can just back off a little bit and uh, and go back to my Ishvara, the Creator, remembering the laws holding this structure intelligently designed, uh, and then I can take this crisis, this tragedy, or whatsoever happens, you know, with trust in the Creator. You know, this is all karma. So this is parabada. I don't understand, but everything serves a certain purpose. No? So we have got Nirguna Ishvara and Saguna Ishvara, depending on circumstance, including depending on our mental, emotional state. So therefore, it's totally okay and intelligent to keep shifting from Saguna Nirguna. Shankaracharya even says that uh, we have it in here or we need Lynn's translation?
It says it's a little hymn to let me just say, one who is the soul of serpents, or serpents as his adornments, the Lord of the city of Varanasi, worship that Vishwananta, Lord of the universe.
Can you
So
repeat the beginning? Can you explain me the beginning of this? Hi.
I think there's the iconography of Vishwa has serpents around his neck, right? I think that's so. It says the one who is the soul of serpents. That's one translation, or another one is, or has serpents as his adornments.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he's supposedly the Lord of the city of Varanasi.
Mm.
Worship that Lord of the universe.
Yeah. Because I did not understand the word serpents. So
Yeah.
yeah, the serpent is a huge symbol that you know the yogis have it around the neck. They have conquered somehow their weakness or something like that. Shankaracharya says in most of the verbs, he talks about saguna and nirguna. Therefore, use both. Uh, both are useful. On the emotion, this is also a nice insight and link. On the emotional level, because the bhakta, it has two personalities within itself. It has the intellectual personality and the emotional personality. So intellectually, once the individual has understood the teachings of reality as Nirguna Ishvara, and then you see God as Nirguna Brahman or Nirguna Ishvara. This is your intellectual level of personality. You see things, but human beings, unless we become cyborgs, we have intellect, but we have an emotional center as well. So we have our convictions, our knowledge, and so on. And we have our emotions as well. On the emotional level, you have your deity, you have Ishvara, the creator. It can be used. At the intellectual level, you have Nirguna Brahman, meaning to say you have to find a balance, especially at the beginning, before this knowledge is properly internalized. You have to have this proper balance. So on the intellectual level, you have made the conversion of humans' emotions into devotion towards God. So on the emotional level, you see and you develop this devotion, which is fundamental for one's refinement and purification. So because you're an emotional being, but you need a good intellect as well, because you don't want to be stuck there as an emotional being, but with a poor intellect. It is the properly developed intellect that is going to allow you to advance your understanding of God from Istadevata, or even as Ishvara, the creator, to Brahman, the substratum of Ishvara Jivan Jagata. So you have this vision, the final Upanishad darshan. Everything is Brahmana and Satya. Everything is a reflection or a superimposition upon consciousness. And consciousness is what is behind my mind. Everything is happening in me, within me as consciousness. Okay? So intellect will have that. And there is a nice feel to it. There is also an emotion to that. But when the emotion, if you want to enjoy a more sentimental emotion, and then you can go a little bit into the duality, devotee and its Istadevata, and then you have a nice duality there. You can enjoy a more sentimental emotional relationship with God manifest in duality as the creator or a representative of the creator. But in your mind, on the intellectual level, which has a feel to itself. I don't know if the intellect feels because, we have a subtle body. It has so many different parts or functions, and it's one well integrated organism. It's not that you have the intellect and you have the memory and then you have the ego, you have the emotional level. Everything comes together for integration, balance, harmonization. A subtle body which is geometrically designed, uh, balanced. So
I think you're right, because mental clarity has pleasure associated with it.
definitely,
Definitely.
we're gonna see towards the last two chapters of the Gita. One, the other, I mean, when I covered those, I did not cover following the transcription of Swami Paramarthananda. It was many years ago in Portuguese, but the one that, and I was using only the verse, and then I was improvising my own interpretation. But there is a chapter two in which uh, Krishna Guru makes the distinction between Kama Palan and Jnana Palan. So, and he makes a distinction also in terms of Kama Pala, Ananda coming out of Kama Pala and Ananda coming out of Jnana Pala. So the fruits of this Vedantic process is is knowledge, is Jnana. And Jnana is as for a very refined sort of Ananda, of satisfaction, of peace, which is part of our human nature, emotional, intellectual construct. There is great satisfaction through the intellect, especially when you get the knowledge in respect to the true nature of God, the true nature of reality, the true nature of the I. Definitely. Kamapalan, Yanapalan. Yanapal is not only intellectual conviction, but it's a nice feeling of peace. It's the ultimate feeling of peace, you know. And peace is an emotional experience, very subtle, very satisfying. Therefore, Krishna says the one whose intellectual, emotional personality and the one whose rational intellect, question intellect, both of them must be at the feet of the Lord. We have to offer both. We offer our intellect and we offer our heart. Ishtadevata bhakti, devotion towards personal God, is always developed through Puranas, usually developed through Puranas. For that only, they have this Shravana Kirtana. Da, 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 da. So we have to remember that all texts, even the Puranic text involves also listening, to the exposition, contemplating, and understanding, assimilating the message we see in that Puranic text. So devotion towards your Istadevata is usually available in the Vedic culture through the Puranic scriptures. It's something strange for most foreigners. And then we have somehow to develop this devotion towards Ishvara, the creator, without being exposed to the Puranic text, which helps someone to develop devotion towards the Lord. We can develop devotion towards the Lord as a higher Kami Yogi who understood Ishvara in its higher construct, meaning to say the totality of the manifest as the material cosmos manifests as the entire cosmos, and the intelligence as the intelligence cause holding together the cosmos, designed intelligently, sustained by laws and principles and so on. Once you tap into that vision, that knowledge, there is great devotion. It's very sophisticated, much more mature than the devotion towards one's Istadevata. In this Puranic text, all gods are present as an avatar and so on, and the world is the lila. The more you study and listen to it, the more that construct crystallize to become more and more truthful to your mind, becomes more and more concrete to your mind, because you repeat a construct and then you start living within that mental construct. So it's avatar, this word is lila, and my avatar is the true deal avatar, and so on. As we know, the idol is not just made out of marble or stone or wood. It's not just an idol sculptured somehow. It's constructing human's mind. It's not so. And how can one develop such a higher devotion? Through Bhagavad Gita Shravana. And then we become a real, more evolved Karma yogi. So he says, so if I'm too much attached to one of these idols, sculptured in wood or whatever, and somebody comes and steals it, I'm going to be completely attached to that and lost. And so it's better you develop the higher devotion toward the Lord, the Creator, through the Bhagavad Gita, through Shravana and Manana. Therefore, such a devotee who has the appreciation of Ekarupa and Anekarupa and Arupa Ishwara, that person is dearest to me, is what was said in the previous verse. In fact, dear is not the best word. He is me. He is me. So Jesus Krishna is saying the disciple who understood their oneness with me can only be me and me alone because understood that there is only God. You understand? But when he says that the devotee who understood my true nature as the substratum, as the light of consciousness, the existence that concedes existence to every being in the planet, in the world, in the universe, the devotee that came to that level is not only the dearest, but it is me, but it does not refer that devotee as the body mind. The body mind is not really Brahman, but within the body mind there is a phenomenon which is reflected Brahman, reflected consciousness. And within that reflection of consciousness, there is a potential for the body mind to realize that consciousness, Brahman, is my true nature. So when it says that devotee who have understood the oneness between him or her and me is not the dearest to me, but it's me. It's not referring to the body mind of the devotee, but the true nature of the devotee. Okay. One time I remember James saying something during one of those long seminars in India. And he said, oh, Ayani is Ishwara, you know. And Wani is equal to Ishwara, is equal to Brahman. So a guru or something like that. And then at the time I looked at that as, that may sound a little bit arrogant. But because he did not elaborate as I'm doing here, don't believe that it is the the redneck of Montana or the skinny bag from Brazil, that is equal to Brahman. Uh, but it is the true nature of everything and everyone as Brahman. Always they remember the seventh chapter, Yani tu da 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 da, meaning to say, Yani tu atmaiva mi matam. He by whom the world is not disturbed. Now, this is the next verse. Did you translate this Yani tu atmaiva mi matam? Please.
I am he am I.
Yeah. There is only I. there is only I. All these statements of identity between Jivatma and Paramatma, they need to be understood very carefully. Because I am him, I am her, and they are me. Everything is only I because I am the only reality. But consciousness cannot say that except through its Jiva Atmas. And then when it says, the Guru first says, no, Tatvamasi, you are that Brahman. And then the disciple works on that and says, yes, I am that Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. So, but this I is not the body, mind, sense complex. It's the true nature of everything. The I is Brahman is better said than I am Brahman. The I, the Atma is Brahman is better said than I am Brahman. This I is for too long wrapped up around the properties and attributes of the body, mind, sense complex. The I, the pure I is Brahman. Aham is Brahman. Therefore, we say Aham Brahmasmi. He by whom the world is not disturbed, who is not disturbed by the world, and who is free from elation, envy, fear, and anxiety, is again dear to me. So this concept about dear to me is better understood by another concept or construct, which is the most intimate to me. So the one who is in peace with oneself, one which is not a disturbance to society, one who is not disturbed by society, one who is free from elation, from sense of inadequacy, fear, envy, anxiety, and all problems. This one is the most intimate to me, meaning to say, is the one who understood its oneness within me. There is nothing more intimate than our own intrinsic nature, without which I cannot even exist. So, dearest to me, most intimate to me. So I'm saying that there are two types of people, one type of person. He's going to elaborate a little bit with a lot of psychological insights as well, but also observations easily observed. Because some people are disturbed by anything, you know. And some people have a disturbed mind almost most of the time, you know. And not only they have a disturbed mind, and their disturbed mind is going to disturb the world as well, the environment, the people around, and so on. So if you have a disturbed mind, you're going to be disturbing your environment as well, other people, and so on. So, and then how not to have a disturbed mind and not to disturb the world. So we are talking about two levels of Jiva's personality. So as a karta, we want to present our response to life circumstance, you know, without disturbing others, you know, without being violent or aggressive or inadequate. So this is one way. As a karta, I have to be careful with my words and deeds because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt any beings. You know? It's so easy when you start having too many chicken in your chicken coop, and then when you come there, they are just around. They want food, especially if I stay away from it. I have to walk, and they are all around me. And then as I walk, I keep stepping on their foot, you know. And thanks God they don't hurt because it's a very hard cartilage or something like that. And I keep saying, "Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Stay away, stay away. So you don't want to disturb or hurt anybody, you know. So how to live in a world without disturbing others, you must have an undisturbed mind. An undisturbed mind is going to allow you a better discrimination, discernment to offer one's answers to situations more assertively. You know, you have good viveka because the mind is not emotionally disturbed. Yeah? So you have the mental personality who is in peace, and then you have a good viveka shakti to offer your response to circumstance, to your parabada, without disturbing. It's very difficult to move in this world without making mistakes in that sense, you know. There is a possibility to to do a few mistakes here and there. But one refines, one becomes more sensitive in respect to our words and deeds. Yeah. And in order not to be disturbed by the world, there are two ways. You can be totally insensitive, like a rock, hard. Nothing hurts you. You know, people, they have lost empathy. But the problem is when you become a rock on both sides. You become a rock when you present your words and deeds, and you become a rock when you receive, you know, other people's or life circumstance to you. You are just a rock. So you have suppressed your emotional body, so to speak, you know. So you have no sensitivity, you have lost empathy, and so you're just like a rock. So how to find the balance between not disturbing and not being disturbed as a karta and as a bhakta, you know? And then later on, Swami is going to further elaborate on this verse, talking about other features of this highly developed devotee, which allows true humility, you know, is free from relation of vanity or ego, you know? And this is something that is only possible when the sense of the ego, I am the doer and the experiencer of everything, and I enjoy, and I always experience a sense of vanity or shame, you know. So I'm identified as the doer. And that compromise big time already the degree by which I can offer good words and deeds. And then every time I succeed, I stink with vanity. And every time I fail, I stink with sense of inadequacy, you know, guilt, shame. So one must be free of all these things, fear, envy, vanity, arrogance, and so on. This is true humility, true purification, anxiety as well, expectations, and so on. So this is someone that came so close to me, that merged, quote unquote, into me in a way that there is no separation. We could say, he is me. He is consciousness, and he, as the body mind has understood its true nature as consciousness, therefore it's the most intimate devotee, the most intimate devotee. So Swami goes into the elaboration that there are two kinds of people. One is very hard, rock-like heart, and he does not feel anything, and he loses sensitivity as well as karta. He is insensible as a bhakta. You can try to hurt such a people, but they don't get hurt because he's a rock. She's a rock. The heart is like a stone. Nothing is going to affect him or her. Tommy reminds us of a movie with a title Rock Like Heart. In fact, some people like that movie so much, they'll say, oh, please, Lord, get me a rock like heart as well, because life is so hard, you know. And I'm so soft. If I developed a hard heart, I'm not gonna suffer so much. No? We don't want to be too soft. We don't want to be too rocky. Yeah. And we have to balance our personality, either both, yeah, as a kata, as a bhakta. There is a ceremony in our sampradaya when the disciple becomes a sannyas. He stands on a rock and he prays following the ceremony, you know. The guru bless the student that your heart must be strong enough to withstand all ups and downs of life. This is not when they become a sannyas, but it's another kind of initiation, a brahmachari initiation. So, because even as a grihastha, the as a student preparing to be a grihastha, the individual needs to be strong enough to deal with the shocks he's going to meet in the process, you know. You have to have a heart humanized, not too soft heart to go through this ocean of ignorance. I mean, there is something in human nature that we all know about bullying. I suffered so much bullying when I was a child, you know, and somehow I was soft and I suffered a lot. The more you suffer, more people enjoy seeing you suffering, and the more you become a victim of bullying. So how to deal with those things, you know? But any and everything may serve a certain purpose. If not, exhaust one's papa karma, and on the other hand, the potential to develop a stronger heart, you know. So I remember in my own process, after some time, once I have understood that my heart was soft and I was suffering so much abuse coming from others. And then I made a stand to myself in which I used to say, enough is enough. Now I'm not going to take any abuse anymore. And I'm ready to fight and even kill, but I'm not going to accept any abuse anymore. And one day I'm going to have a wedding. The girl as well has to stand on the rock and knowing that she needs to develop a strong heart because you never know, mother-in-law and a big family. Now you have to deal with all the channels of your side of the family and then husband's side of the family. Life is not easy. If you don't have a strong rock-like heart, the marriage does not last very long. It's good to have a rock-like heart. It gives us an advantage because nothing is going to hurt me as well that much, you know. The problem is that if they have a heart, a rock-like heart, you know, they are going to be hurting others when they become a kata, you know. It's not a question of being strong to receive abuse and offense, but you are so rock-like heart, you know, that when you present your actions, your words, usually they are a little bit rough, a little bit hard, and often it hurts others. So I know two people that have a little bit of this problem. One of them was my first Vedanta guru that had so much of this, you know, in presenting his words and actions to others. He could easily hurt others. And the other is myself, because with time, I learned to become more and more sensitive and careful with my words and actions because I was overreacting in my young age when I say fuck it, you know. So now, you know, the best defense maybe is attacking. No. So therefore, such people, they are never hurt, but they easily hurt other people, especially if the other is too sensitive. They don't consider the other side. They don't look very carefully. They do not pay much attention to their language, their energy. Because they are not affected, they believe that others are not going to be affected, therefore they think others, da, da, da. This kind of people who are not hurt but keeps hurting other people's, we know very much this profile of people. The second variety of people are people who got a very tender heart. It's like a rose, a flower. They are very sensitive people. They are considerate with their words and actions. But as a bhakta, anything will hurt them and they will cry and cry and cry. They are good with measuring their words and actions to other people, but they get great empathy. But on the other hand, other people around not necessarily are going to be so careful, and this person is going to get hurt very, very often. I got to know a person like that when I was with my first guru in India, Pune. I was dating that lady, and she was so sensitive. She was pretty, she was attractive, and so on, but she was not exposing herself very much because she was too sensitive. She was afraid of getting hurt again and again. She had very, very few people that she could trust. She could open her heart. And then she was like that, you know. And a lot of the time, these people, they just avoid contact with people because anything could crash or hurt uh, that flower, that tender flower. So, and at the time, I was not very careful with my words and actions because there was so much strong emotions coming through and reactions, violent reactions sometimes. And then, so there was a moment that I had an emotional, violent reaction towards her. She closed completely to me and she walked away from my life. It was a shock to me. Shock. She couldn't take it. Since I'm too sensitive and since I am like a rose flower, I get very easily hurt. That person is not meaning anything. The person only asks when did you come or what. Something, anything will hurt certain people. You don't do anything and they are hurt. The thing with living a life without any conflict, it's only possible if you only associate with dogs, cats, and chickens. Because if you associate with humans, you may not do anything, but people may get hurt and angry with you because they project that you mistreat them. Only by not looking that direction, not standing up from your chair if something happens far away involving that person. Swami gives some examples here on how people get hurt. We cannot control people's hurt because the hurt is inside already. The person has those wounds, you know, and anything is going to trigger the wounds, and then that's going to be blamed on you. Like in science, we have got sensitive balance. Science students will know which is kept within a glass case because the pointer of the balance is easily disturbed. Okay. It's very sensitive balance between taking in and putting out. You don't want to be hard, too hard, as a Karta, and you don't want to be too soft as a Bhakta as well. The definition, the goal here is to develop a very sensitive personality, balanced and sensitive balance. When the sensitive balance is such a balance, it never stops. It's always moving a little bit because of extreme sensibility, you know? He's making reference to, I forgot the name in English. Bussel, huh? Bussel? So there is much more to this one. Will go on, and it's a very enjoyable subject. And I can just anticipate something that you already know. So the final goal here is balance between being strong and being sensitive. And Swami is going to elaborate it in a way that it suggests that a yani must be very hard as a bhakta, really to have a hard a rock hard personality as a bhakta, and very soft as a karta. I would say that as a karta, definitely the more we purify, the more careful and the more soft we are with people, because we develop more and more empathy and compassion and sensibility and wisdom to understand, you know, what is more appropriate to be said and done. And as a bhakta, I don't find uh, this analogy to be the best description that the yani, but it serves, I mean, didactically say the yani as a bhakta has to be very hard, not to feel anything. But the yani must be very wise, not to take anything personally, which is different between a bit different from being like a rock. Has to be wise to see people's ignorance, such as Jesus Christ on the cross saying, "Forgive them; they are ignorant; they do not know what they are doing." So it's not a question of being necessarily hard like a rock, but being wise, you know, to understand that people are moved by ignorance, and it's useless to condemn them, but it's better to try to educate them on the scriptures. So we'll see all of that tomorrow. Are we having class tomorrow? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Ishvara Namaste. Então, tomorrow, same time, same Gita.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Great. Thank you, Arlindo. Okay, see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye bye.